What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you've been here before, I'm NeonMushroom. Today we're going to play some, we've played Reanimator on the channel before, but this is Rudeslay's 14 land mono black Reanimator deck. So if you're looking for a Reanimator deck to maybe save a little bit of money on, at least in the main board, this might be a way we want to go, because we're playing just 14 basic swamps, making us less weak to things like Wasteland, or even using our City of Brass as a win con with opposing ports. So that's the first thing I want to get out of the way. This is mono black. We're not tapping for any color but black. We don't even have Lotus Petal, which is a normal mainstay in this deck. So what are we reanimating? We'll start there because that's the more interesting piece. We've got one Phantom Nishoba in the main, and we've got 3 more on the side. Phantom Nishoba is one of the usual 4-ofs in this deck, but I think Rudeslay, by the way, should need no introduction. Probably one of the best pre-modern Reanimator players ever, also a legacy Reanimator sicko. So I really trust these splits. These 3 Phantom Nishobas in the side are definitely coming in versus Sly. The one in the main, we can actually go grab it. I'll talk about that in a moment, but we're happy to have a single copy. We've got 4 Akromas, the best Reanimate target, a Symbiotic Wurm, 4 Verdant Forces, and 2 Maros as our 12 hits. Then the rest of the deck is broken up as follows. Ways to get things into the graveyard. Putrid Imp does it just fine, so does Cabal Therapy, and then because we don't have blue, meaning we don't have Careful Study, we're also going to be using Buried Alive, which lets us go 2 to the Reanimate targets and put them directly into the bin, which makes this one Phantom Nishoba a lot more consistent than you would think, and then 4 copies of Unmask, because we can always turn 1 Unmask ourselves. Very importantly, this doesn't cost mana if you pitch cast it, so we can use our Reanimate spells, like our 1 mana Reanimate, to reanimate a giant fatty on turn 1. We also have 4 Exhumes and 4 copies of Life Death. We're just playing the good Reanimate spells. We're also going to be playing some Dark Rituals as acceleration, and that is the entire main board. It's very clean, it's very concise, I'm a big fan of it. The sideboard contains a lot of main board cards, actually. 2 Multanis, because sometimes you just want all Multanis in particular matchups, especially Swords to Plowshares matchups where the Multani like just rules the roost. We're also going to be bringing these Phantom Nishobas I was talking about previously, a Visara the Dreadful, 4 Snuff Outs, we got to be killing Dreadnoughts, 2 more Duresses to go with the 2 Duresses in the main board, and then the coolest sideboard piece is 4 copies of Null Rod. Instead of pivoting to Oath of Druids like this deck typically does, we're instead going to be insisting on our plan and playing a Null Rod, trying to stop our opponent from cracking their crypts and using their Phyrexian Furnaces against us. That's the deck. That's all you need to know. Let's hop into the league. Speaking of other content creators that do a great job, our round 1 is versus Daybreak Merkpie. This is Pi Gonti. So let's give a shout out, fellow Ultimate Guard partner. All right, Pi Gonti, good luck. I hope I make Pi Gonti's video as well. I will take the play. All right, this hand, we're going to mulligan it. Don't freak out. This is one of those hands that, like, we play 14 swamps. We're really hoping to see one of them. This doesn't have one of them, so we're going to ship it. This one also doesn't have one of them. I'm also looking at these hands to see, like, what does it look like if all we need to draw is a swamp? This hand doesn't do the thing if it just draws a swamp. Like we mentioned in the beginning, there's 14 swamps in here total. This hand, however, goes turn 1 Putrid Imp into turn 2 Multani. Now, the big downside there is hand sizes are going to be small. But we have a line, so we're going to take it. We'll pitch a swamp and a Buried Alive, and we're ready to go. Swamp, tap it, Putrid Imp, go. Don't foil me, bro. All right, looks like we're seeing the Merkpie special, which is Stifle Knot. Now, Pi Gonti is a killer player, just in general. And I think the better you are at this deck, the more likely it is that you can leverage the Black Splash. And I know Pi Gonti is a pretty big fan of the Black Splash, so something worth keeping in mind. We can get Duress. There's a Dark Ritual. What's the over-under on Dark Ritual to play around days? I think, well, I guess, no, that works. All right, let's act it. Let's open on Dark Rit. All right, let's activate Putrid Imp, pitching Maro, and let's cast Death, targeting Multani. And the reason we cast the Dark Ritual is because we could get got really hard there by days. This plays around days, because if they daze the Dark Ritual, we just pay for it, and then we have 3 mana. And then we'll get in for 1, and we need to hope Dreadnought doesn't come to visit us too soon, huh? All right, well, no luck there. Here comes the Dreadnought, which is going to shrink the Multani down. And it's a stifle, so we can't even get in. We see a Life Death here. All we can do is get in for none. You have flying. As long as there's 7 more, it can't block. I can give it flying. Let's attack. Let's not. Let's see how big we can get the Multani. Getting that natural turn 2 Dreadnought is a beating for any deck. And we didn't have any therapies or duresses. All right, bring in that 6/6/12. I got nothing for you. I'll go to 2. All right, end step and my turn. Yeehaw. Symbiotic Wurm. All right, we cannot beat this, unfortunately. So into game 2, what are we interested in? Not so much Null Rod, definitely Duress, right? Does Snuff Out hit artifacts? Excuse me, Duress, get where I put you. Do you hit artifacts, Snuff Out? Non-black, yep, just non-black. So Snuff Out is a shoe-in. Visara, probably better than some stuff. I don't know about Multani. They're not really going to be able to remove our creatures outside of Chain of Vapor anyway. This has to be a bad matchup for Reanimator, 100% agree. I could think about Phantom Nishoba because it can kind of race, but if I'm in that position already, I think it's sketchy. So we've got 1, 2, 6, 7 that we're interested in. What are we less interested in? I think Multani is going to have some scaling problems. All it is a beat stick, and it doesn't beat through Dreadnought, so I think Visara is better. But I don't want to go down too many pieces here. Symbiotic Wurm, I think Cabal Therapy is really, really, really high value in this matchup. So I could see the Symbiotic Wurm being like something we're willing to crack in order to therapy, and it'll make the same amount of power it had before. I think Buried Alive might be a little bit hard to resolve. So maybe trim. I think the way this deck's built out, maybe we can trim a maximum of 1. We might even need to get rid of another, like a Verdant Force or something. Although Verdant Force goes 7 power on turn 1, 8, 9 by your next turn, 10, 11 by the turn after. So I guess if it's paired with the Putrid Imp, it's almost big enough to contend with the Dreadnought. Not necessarily where we want to be, obviously. Yeah, I think we just have to, is this a bad matchup, really? I think it's probably a tough matchup. I think with all our disruption, we have an avenue. The trick is that if we're disrupting Dreadnought's hand, we're not using our Cabal Therapies and our Unmasks to enable our combo, right? No, Dreadnought is not bad for almost everyone. Dreadnought has a poor Elves matchup. It has a poor Enchantress matchup. A poor Moneyball Black matchup. Yeah, I think we just got to make some cuts. We'll lose a Symbiotic Wurm. Life Death cost a lot of life, unintended. I think we can go down and second Buried Alive. And we really can't board up to 61 because we already have 14 lands. So I really don't want to mess with that math at all. So maybe Phantom Nishoba sucks. I just don't want to miss on the creature, right? What does this look like? Doesn't look bad. I think 1 more Life Death, submit. All right, I'll be on the play. This one has double Duress. We've got a Putrid Imp. We're in the waiting room for finding a Reanimate target. I think we take that risk, we keep. All right, let's open up on the turn 1 we were always going to make. Show me your spread, Pyganti. All right, we've got Opt, Foil, Vision Charm, and Gush. There's only 1 counterspell in here, and maybe we need to get the counterspell first. We'll be able to get the Vision Charm on the second go. Let's grab that Foil and just pass the turn. Something else we could have done was Dark Ritual, Duress, Putrid Imp. I don't think we need to bum rush that quickly. I'm actually more comfortable just... Now, we get major punished if we draw... No, we don't. We can just still Dark Rit, right? There's a Phantom Nishoba. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go land. We're going to tap it. We're going to Dark Rit. We're going to Duress our opponent. All right, we've got Counterspell, Island, Vision Charm, Gush. I feel incentivized to take the Vision Charm. If Opt hits Daze, we're in pretty big trouble, but I think we just have to play into a risk. We don't take Counterspell because it just simply can't be cast right now. We're going to put them on a 3-turn clock. We don't take Opt because it's super low impact. So it's Vision Charm or Gush. Gush needs to hit Dreadnought and Enabler. Opt just needs to hit Daze. I think it's Vision Charm. All right, we'll take the Vision Charm, leaving our opponent with Island, Gush, Island, Opt, Counterspell as the 5-card hand. And then we go for it here. Putrid Imp, pitch Phantom Nishoba to Putrid Imp. And then here we go. Death, target Phantom Nishoba, tap out. We'll see if they find Daze. Opt's gone. All right, we've got a Phantom Nishoba. Our opponent's got 3 known, 2 unknown. Tapping for 2. Are they going for it here? They Gush. Is it good for you? Did you find it? Looks like they did. That is, that's so lucky. Oh, we get an attack though. That is very, very lucky. Like they had to have a lot of strong hits in those top cards for that to be good. So this is an example of the Dreadnought player being luckier than they are good. We'll go to combat. We're going to get in for 8. That Dreadnought, unfortunately for them, is going to have to be purely defensive for a few moments. By the way, this is not a commentary on how good Pyganti is. Pyganti is simply lucky here. That does not change the fact that Pyganti is like I cannot exaggerate this enough. He's a monster player. He does not need to get that lucky to win his games, which is why it's such a heartbreak that he got that lucky here. All right, they're just passing. Luckily, I can go for a Reanimate on the Verdant Force. All right, let's pitch Verdant Force to pump up this Imp. And let's see if they also found a foil in those cards. Grab Force. Okay, cool. We've got so much power in play now. Attack for 1 in the air because it's flying. And then we're going to get lots of toughness for the Dreadnought. All right, Verdant Force, make me a 1/1. All right, we coming in? You really can't. All right, my go. Verdant Force shits out another little buddy for me to keep. That is Father of Peace. Wow. I am not prepared for people to... Father of Peace is a little bit of a deep cut. How many viewers, how many are they blowing up and I didn't know it? Oh no, they're doing really well now, actually. Three quarters of a million monthly listeners. I guess they're not as deep a cut as when I started listening to them, which is really cool. They deserve it. I think this band rules. So we've got a known counterspell. Let's open up on a Cabal Therapy. They're going to counterspell it. That's fine. All right, let's go to combat. I think we'll attack for, if we attack with everything, they take 7, 8, 9, 10. I gain a bunch of life. This attack's free, right? Full send. They take 7, 8, 9. They go to 2. I gain a shitload of life because they can't stifle. Enemy is my favorite Father of Peace song, actually. That's the song that got me into it. All right, they're blocking the force. All right, you're at 2. I'm at 19. I'm thresholded, so I can just pitch a card to give Putrid Imp flying and kill. Yeah, I think this is it. I think we got it. All right, we got it. Pygonti, monster player, got lucky. Sometimes Reanimator just has the sauce, though, right? That's what I liked about it. It reminded me of an old Sode track. Yeah, System of a Down. I mean, they wear their influences. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm so sorry. We listen to different tracks when we're on Twitch. Check out Father of Peace. Not a sponsor, just a fan. But they wear their influences on their sleeve proudly, and I like that about them. Also, I liked April, but the bass player. But May is killing it as the replacement. She is killing it. I don't think I'm changing anything. No, I think this configuration is exactly where I want to be. So I could see Phantom Nishoba being better than Verdant Force, especially on the draw. I think so. I think I just want one more Phantom Nishoba, maybe 2 more. Maybe Verdant Force isn't as good on the draw. I guess, no, Verdant Force lets me go wide when I need to in flashback Cabal Therapies. No, I think this configuration's fine. All right, here we have double Snuff Out with a Dark Ritual. So we can like try to Dark Rit into Visara and use Snuff Outs to protect ourselves from the Dreadnought, hoping to draw counter magic. Chat, what do we think? I think this is normally not a keep, but I think the amount of action we have against specifically Dreadnought is through the roof, and a 5/5 flyer that we can get very close to casting this. It doesn't take a lot for us to be able to cast this. What do we think? Chat tries to beat Pygonti. Monologue Frog, what's up, baby? How you doing? We're playing Risk It. I think we risk it. I don't mind it either. Like, here's the thing. This does not look like a good Reanimator hand, but we are not just trying to be Reanimator. We are trying to specifically fight a very strong reactive deck that's on the play with a plan that we can kind of like try to beat pretty convincingly here. Yeah, why Reanimator when you can just cast her? Yeah, that's my thinking. Is like this Visara is very close to castable. I think we're going to risk it. I think we're going to take a risk here. I could see Rude Slay himself talking me out of this keep pretty easily. But I think we've got a lot of stuff we're looking for. We got 3 sideboard cards in our hand, I think is the big pivot point here. Duress, and the top deck's good. Open on Duress. All right, we've got double Dreadnought. Let's take it's between Portent and Gush for sure. What did they do with their Portent? They shuffled. So they've got 2 Dreadnoughts and nowhere to go. And the Portent digs them more cards deep, but the Gush gives them more card equity. The Gush is going to make the card foil much more castable. I think I have to consent to them portenting and take their Gush. I would love to hear feedback on that play. I'm not really sure what would have actually been better there. Also, their hand is quite reactive, so if we can put Visara on the ground, we are in a good spot. Tap, make a blue, cast a portent. I like it. Let's just also remove this island from their hand because they're going to play that. So they're going to go down to 4 in hand, and on my turn, they're going to draw and have 2 mystery cards. 3 known cards being Dreadnought, Flash. They decline to shuffle. They like something that they saw. End step, untap, draw. I'd love a Dark Rit here. Verdant Force. All right, here's a land. I'm chilling. All right, they have an island, so there's only 2 more unknowns. Are they going for the Dreadnought here? I would love it if they did. I don't think they can beat double Snuff Out unless their hand contains Gush and the top 2 cards of their deck are actual perfect. If you have a different hand, I can totally see ripping the portent, but you're happy to 1-for-1 them into the dirt right now. That's the goal, yeah. We have a lot of fight for their main game plan. I think Pygonti is weighing, do I go for it here? We've got a lot of fight for this. And having Visara, if this hand didn't have Visara, I think I would mulligan it. If this was any other creature, I would have mulliganed. But Visara only costs 6. They're tapping 2 to Reality Ripple. Target artifact or creature or land phases out. Snuff Out the Dreadnought. 1 unknown in hand. Dark Ritual is my best top deck. Exhume is not ideal, but at some point it could be very good. What's going on, Real Bad? We're just going to pass for now, though. We need a Putrid Imp. We need a Buried Alive. We need something. All right, 1 mystery card, Flash, Dreadnought off the top rope. Unmask myself. There's only 1 unknown. Unmask pitching, it's Exile. Unmask, cast by exiling a black card. Target me. The big question is, what do we exile? The Exhume opens up Putrid Imp as a viable top deck for Verdant Force. The Snuff Out deals with the Dreadnought we're staring at in their hand. The Dark Ritual hardcast the Visara. The Exhume is the reason we're unmasking. I think we're going to go for the Visara, so we're going to Unmask using the Dark Ritual. And then I think we're going to pitch the Visara the Dreadful. And then we're going to Exhume. Looks like we're flashing for one. All right, flash for one is good. They could find Enabler for the Dreadnought, but I have another Snuff Out. All right, Dreadnought's in play. I think if they enable it, we just let it go. Oh, they're going to chain their Dreadnought. This has to resolve to copy it, right? All right, cast by paying 4 life. All right, we've got a Visara. This is a good place to be. Pass. That was a sick play if you didn't have exactly second Snuff Out. It was. Go for another flash. This Visara being resolved means he needs to find another chain immediately, because this Visara is fucked up. Here comes an Opt. We've got him on the 4-turn clock. We don't just win, but we're in a happy position right now. 3 mystery cards and a Dreadnought in hand. Gush, got it. So if they find another chain and a Dreadnought enabler, it was never good enough. We'll see what happens. Another Gush. Okay, they're digging deep. We can just yield. There's nothing we can do this turn. And an Impulse. All right, we draw an Exhume. Feels strong, but we can't really do anything with it yet. We'll attack with Visara. Begin our clock. Pygonti's also wrapped up multiple land drops. The big trick here is there is a pull to not attack. That way I can activate the Visara. Because something Pygonti can have now, he's got Dreadnought plus 6 mystery cards. So if Pygonti has Stifle, or Vision Charm Stifle, we're a little cooked, right? Because then I go to Visara the Dreadnought and they stifle it. I guess I can then Exhume, but then Visara has Summoning Sickness. But I feel like I'm not going anywhere if I don't try to kill Pygonti. Yeah, I agree with Real Bad. I think we have to accept our fate if it comes to that and just get busy with Visara. And I think we want to play our lands out as well, just in case of some double spell equity we need later in the game. Next turn. Impulse is fine. I bought an Italian Dreadnought off a guy in a gas station parking lot over the weekend. Turns out the Italian name for Dreadnought is Terminator. That rules. We cut the Multani, so no need to hold cards. Yeah, I agree. We're opting in our main phase, so they can't protect a Dreadnought here. If they don't get it soon, they may have to play a Dreadnought just to stop me from attacking with this Visara for a turn, unless of course they have the Vision Charm. All right, now we're in a little bit of deep shit. We need to draw some action, I think. All right, they're passing. We'll go to my turn. What do we see? Cabal Therapy. They used a Vision Charm. I'm going to name Stifle with Cabal Therapy. Stifle. They've got 2 Vision Charms and a foil. Oh, we are dead, I think. Oh man, their hand is perfect. Huh. Okay, here's how we play this turn. We go to combat. Visara beats it. It destroys a creature. They just Vision Charm their Dreadnought, correct? So we can force them to use the foil. I can eat up all the equity from their hand. So if we attack with Visara, bring them to 5, sack Visara, flashback, Cabal Therapy, they have to foil. So they probably lose island, foil, and then their hand's 2 Vision Charms. We Exhume a Visara the Dreadful, planning to block, then Vision Charm or Visara on our turn. So here's a little common mistake I see people make. You can't Vision Charm a Visara. Vision Charm phases out an artifact. Visara is not an artifact. I think the safer play is actually to not attack, stop in their upkeep, and try to grind through their Vision Charms. I think that's better. All right, in your upkeep, get the Dreadnought before it can be a Stifle instead. All right, they Vision Charm, no response to that, and then I'll yield. All right, so Vision Charm Island out of hand. We've got a Dark Ritual that doesn't actually do anything. So I think once again, we're going to make the same play. They've only added 1 card to their hand. There are no flashes in their graveyard. I think this is the only play. I think we have to keep doing this until they run out of Vision Charms. Pop the Dreadnought, show me a charm, or is it Stifle this time? Did you top deck Stifle? It's a Vision Charm. All right, I can yield through the turn. They play an Opt. So their hand is now Foil, Island, Mystery. I draw a Swamp. Play the Swamp. How many Vision Charms have they used? 1, 2, 3. So if they have an Enabler, it's probably a Stifle. Stifle kills me. They could also foil, and they would foil my Exhume. So I simply must continue this play pattern. I don't have a choice. And hope they don't have Stifle. All right, show me your Stifle. Hate to see it. All right, we are cooked. Pygonti got us. Pygonti was unusually lucky, but he's also good enough for that luck to not go to waste. I feel like we played a good game. I feel like we played a pretty good game. I actually liked that game a lot. There was a lot of play. I think I was favored in that game state. I think Pygonti had to get very lucky. Pygonti did get very lucky, but he is a talented enough player to leverage that in a really meaningful way. Okie dokie, round 2. We're on the play for this one. And our hand contains almost all of it. Almost every last piece we're looking for. We're missing a mana. Swamp is a killer top deck. There's 13 of those. Dark Ritual is a killer top deck. There's 4 of those. 13 and 4 is 17. There's 53 left. Reanimate is a killer top deck. There's 4 of those, so that's 21. Verdant Force is very strong. I think we're into this. We're gonna keep the opponent's name is Pile Driver. I think I'm gonna open on Therapy Pile Driver or Therapy Lackey. Your name makes me worried. Goblin Lackey. Show me. All right, no luck. Okay, their hand's soft. Pass. Goblin Lackey, never a bad name. We couldn't beat a turn 1 Lackey here. I guess we could block with the Putrid Imp, but like not super interested in that. Also, knowing about the archetype is huge. They play a Root Walla. They pass to us, we untap. We draw Exhume. Another good one. We just need a mana source. This time we'll play a Putrid Imp and we're just going to ship it. You draw. Island, 2 unknowns in hand. Careful Study is fine. I imagine we're going to offload some lands here. Maybe a Root Walla, maybe a Wonder. Island. Forest Wurm, 3 mystery cards are in hand. If they attack, I'm blocking. All right, declare blockers. And then before damage, I will pitch Verdant Force. Then we can yield through the turn. Off the top rope, deck. Off the top rope. Don't daze me, bro. Verdant Force. All right, we have a Verdant Force past the turn. And it's going to shit out ways for us to go ahead and take a look at our opponent's hand with the Cabal Therapy. We got a dude, we can yield through the turn. You know, maybe that turn 1. No, I think we would have been fine, actually. Maybe not. If this was goblins, the idea of like maybe trading a Lackey for a Putrid Imp is pretty tantalizing. However, we do run into like the very real issue of them having a Mog Fanatic or something. Oh, they concede. Okay, cool. One of the things that amuses me about Hearthstone versus digital Magic is the hand order matters as visible. And in Hearthstone, the op could see that was a top deck. Yeah. All right, begin sideboarding. Do I think they have Tormod script? I think they might. I think Null Rod's actually something I'm interested in. Are their creatures important enough that we want to snuff them out? Or are we more so interested in just invalidating their creatures via scaling? There's a lot of things to consider. Phantom Nishoba and Multani are both interesting. I don't think Visara is where we want to be necessarily. I don't think Duress is necessarily where we want to be either. But I'm not convinced we want to take the Duresses we have in our deck already out. I'm just not seeing the upside of being mono black. The creatures aren't castable anyway. Losing Careful Study is insane to me. The many colors version of Reanimator sometimes can't cast its Careful Studies, or it casts 1 and stops being able to tap for mana, or Wasteland blows you up. I'm not going to like argue over it. I'm going to say the architect of this deck is one of the best Reanimator players playing in this format. So I'm not a Reanimator player, so I can't really. My contributions to that conversation are non-meaningful, I guess is the best way to put it. I do like Null Rod if they have like a pivot of let me Tormod script you, let me Phyrexian Furnace you. I have to imagine they have access to that. I think Multani kind of just sits on the ground. They can block it forever. Let's drop the Multanis. Let's drop a single life death for 3 Null Rods. And then do we want like Visara or Phantom Nishoba? Phantom Nishoba, I think, really adds a meaningful amount to the board. Symbiotic Wurm doesn't do a ton. So let's make that trade once. I think we'll go light-handed and start here. All right, what do we see here? We have the ability to discard Reanimate. Okay, we'll keep. They usually have to curve out, so I think we're going to go for that line. Diamond. Interesting. That's fine. We see a Yavimaya Coast, 1 Furnace, or is it a Beat Stick? It's a Pyro Pillar. Okay, this deck is weird. Ooh, Null Rod. So we're going to go to combat, we're going to go to end step, and we're going to go to discard. And we're going to pitch Phantom Nishoba, and we'll yield through this turn as well. Opponent is cooking, but I don't think it's edible. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're up to. Counterspell plus Pyrostatic Pillar is a pretty obvious nombo, so I'm pretty interested to see if this Reanimate resolves. All right, combat. In my second main phase, Swamp, tap it. I think I want a Dark Writ. I'll take some pain to that. The idea is if they counter this Dark Writ, they're going to take 2, and then I can go for the Reanimate next turn. If this Dark Writ resolves, I go for Reanimate, and if that resolves, I can Null Rod. So let's grab, what if we Null Rod first? They can't daze. Let's Null Rod first. All right, you have 1 mana. Reanimate my Phantom Nishoba. Yield to all. I will take so much damage to do this. All right, you're up, opponent. Not knowing they had Mox Diamonds, but bringing in Null Rods and then hitting the Mox Diamonds, big game for us. Okay, we win that match. Still no clue what our opponent's up to. Our plan was good enough. Let's get into round 3. All right, Unrivaled is the opponent. What does our hand do? Our hand, turn 1, Dark Writ, Cabal Therapy myself. It's a turn 1 Verdant Force. It costs every spell in our hand. Keep. Island Diamond. Do you have a counter spell to hold up? Well, now I'm just going to Duress you. All right, you've mana leaked. I can't pay it. You got it, buddy. Next turn, I think we're going for it. All right, how many counter spells do you have in your hand, opponent? Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy me, Verdant Force, Death, targeting Verdant Force. All right, Now the question is, do we Cabal Therapy naming swords, or do we Cabal Therapy naming counterspell and then re-up it so they can't swords my Verdant Force? I think swords is a real factor here, right? You know what? I think I'm going to play to that. Cabal Therapy, you sacking the Verdant Force. Swords to Plowshares. They've got a Swords and a Wrath of God, but the Wrath is currently not castable, so we have to hope to get pretty lucky here. Reanimate the Verdant Force. I'm at 4. You may go. Hate to see it. All right, so they're going to play their Wrath of God out. They shouldn't have played that Dust Bowl. I would have played the other Mox Diamond here. All right, Unmask is in hand. We're just going to play lands and chill now. Exhume's a hot top deck. They're out of action for the time being. Just another land. You're fetching right now. I can't see where that matters. This is a great example of a matchup where we're just so fucking stoked to not have non-basics. Go. You've got AK for 1. That's fine. Swamp. Combat for 1. Go. 2 unknowns in hand. Pass to me sounds good. On tap draw. It's another swamp. Attack you. I'm going to hold this Unmask for a little bit. They've only got 2 in hand, so I think I'm going to wait maybe another turn. And I'm not going to sandbag swamps. I'm just going to play them out. Coastal Tower. So this is a blue-white control deck that got confused somewhere along the way and decided I want to play Mox Diamond. Don't do that, by the way. Do not do that. So we know one of their cards is Mox Diamond still. We're still chilling. We're going to pass. At some point, we're probably, when it's threshold that this thing gets +1/+1, we will wait until the moment we're going to unmask, which might be this turn. Let's go ahead and do it. No, I think we can wait a little bit longer. Let's get in one more time before we do it. That'll bring them to 14. Then once we go threshold, it'll bring them to a 7-turn clock. It's not incredibly fast, but getting them down to 1 or 2 attacks off of one of my reanimatable targets is a pretty big game. They're going to AK. So this is the turn we really want to unmask. Attackers, end step, my turn. A reanimate's not going to do it. That'll kill us. We need like an exhume or something. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unmask, cast, target you. All right, they counterspell. No response to that. Let's pitch Multani. Now we have a 2/2. Combat, get in there for 2. And pass. Impulse before damage, sure. So we want to max out on Multani in this matchup, I think. Let's see here. Multani, probably Null Rod, Duress. That's it. You want to take 2 or you got an STP? All right, you go to 12. Op, you got to make it. There you go. It was the same. Make your decision, man. It's your turn. Another diamond, no problem. We're out of known info. You have 3 in hand. If one of those is a decree, we are done here. On tap draw. Putrid Imp number 2. Combat. Beep. And another imp. You go. Show me your decree. I'll concede to it. Nothing. Okay. Well, they're on a 3-turn clock. Yield. We draw Buried Alive. Let's go to combat. Let's send in the idiots. The STP one of them, sure. Blockers. All right, you take 2. Let's 1, 2, 3. Let's Buried Alive. See if this resolves. All right, this is an interesting Buried Alive. We can't reanimate any of our fatties. What we can do is grab Imp, and for posterity, let's grab a Multani. And let's make this into a 2-turn clock. They might have to counter this, which would be pretty good for us. They mana leak. Perfect. You're up, opponent. This is Rude's list. Yep. AK for 3. Must be nice. We draw another land. Let's go to combat. Get in for 2. Beep. Did you find another swords? Looks like no. And then let's just go swamp and ship it. If they swords again and I draw like an exhume or a reanimate, we're good. Factor Fix, fine. All right, you can have Factor Fix plus Factory or this pile of uselessness. What do we take? We take the pile of uselessness. They value the Mishra's Factory. Currently, it doesn't race, but they can impulse now to try to find another STP. Oh no, they took the fact pile. They're gonna go for another Factor Fix. All right, on tap, draw. Combat, another 2 points. And then this is half of my mana base right here. You may go. All right, Decree, that cooks us. We go to game number 2. Well played game. Multani's, Null Rods, and Duresses are the things we do want. We don't want this Phantom Nishoba. I don't think we particularly care for. Akroma's a little bit not as good as it is in some matchups. I think the Maros are where we really want to be. Verdant Force is like fine-ish. I love Wurm. Let's cut Force. I like Reanimate. I like Imp. I like Duress. I like Dark Red. I like Cabal Therapy. I like Exhume. Life Death's a little bit shaky. Wait, is life an instant? No, it's a sorcery. Interesting. So we're only bringing in 2 creatures. Couple life deaths come out. 1, 2, 8, and 2. We can cut 1 more creature. I think it'll be another Verdant Force. Then I think a Buried Alive, maybe even 2. Let's go. Recently saw Butcher Org in the sideboard of Reanimator. Guess it serves a comparable role as Evansar. Any thoughts? I don't know. I really don't know. Someone type Butcher Org exclamation point into the chat so I can read it word for word. All right, I'll take the play. No lands. Is there any line here with, nope, we're gonna mulligan. 2 lands. We got a Buried Alive, couple of Exhumes. This hand is really trying to put a Multani into play, and it really needs the 3rd land. Butcher Org, 4 red. You may assign this creature combat damage divided as you choose among defending player. Nope, I think we want Visara against Dreadnought, right? Yeah, I don't like Butcher Org. Not in this deck. I love the imps, but we're on a mulligan to 6 here. So what do we pitch? Like an Exhume, go pimp aggro? I think so. All right, we're going to pitch an Exhume. I know we can't cast the Buried Alive, but like we need a way to get creatures that we actually want to reanimate, right? All right, beat, boot, Orp, pass. Nishoba usually covers the Evan Star matchups, really. It sure doesn't cover the Dreadnought one, right? There's a Crypt. That's fine. We're on a different plan. We've got a couple imps. We're going to try to get aggro with them. All right, let's go to combat first. Let's play around them swordsing pre-combat. I want to get my damage in. Hiya. Damage. Therapy you. Swords to Plowshares. All right, they've just got a humility. This is fine. All right, land. Putrid Imp. Go. I also am feeling that the pedals not being here being like pretty tough. Why are we playing Arcane Lab? That I don't understand. It's like fine, adjacent. We'll go to combat, attack for 2, damage. Let's keep him busy. Let's make him counterspell a Cabal Therapy. They're not going to counterspell a Cabal Therapy. Yeah, we'll just take the. I guess if we take Accumulated Knowledge, they might never draw a land, but that sets up their next AK. I'm going to take a weird line because I think this is a weird game. What if they have 2 AKs? They would have cast 1 AK. All right. They've got a Fairy Conclave. Go. So we've got Counterspell, Humility, Arcane Lab, Fairy Conclave, Mystery card. All right. Attackers. My turn. Here's a Duress. Combat. Full send. Damages. Let's Duress you. Weird game we're playing here. All right. We got an STP. I would have STP'd one of my imps. Yeah, we'll take the swords. We've got not a great one, but a plan nonetheless. Pass to you. Arcane Lab resolves. We draw a swamp. We'll play a swamp. Combat. Full send. Oh, that was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. We could have gotten in 2 more damage. I think we will Buried Alive anyway. We're going to grab Symbiotic Wurm, a Multani, and a Akroma. This is the reason we should have attacked after casting that. But this could force them to crack the Crypt, and then if we draw like another hot creature, the humility still fucks us up. They do need to draw the land, but this deck plays a lot of lands. There it is, but they can't humility yet. AK for 2, for sure. All right, combat, beat. They crack the Crypt, makes sense to me, take 2. Damage. Not looking good for your boy out here, but we're fighting. We're fighting the Putrid Imp fight. No white source for you. Oh boy. They had 3 AKs in the top 15 cards of their deck. Definitely fighting variants at this point. Combat, beat. And then we will actually hold this swamp, I think. We might end up needing to discard it to Imp. Of course, that's barring them playing Humility, obviously. Flooded Strand, fetch, they're at 8. 4-turn clock. You have a Humility. All right, my turn. Untap, draw. 3rd Exhume, that ain't gonna do it. Let's go to combat. Let's fight. We may as well play our land now because humility is in play. We don't have use of our creature's activated abilities. Is there heat on right now? Let me go check my AC. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right, your turn, opponent. AK for 4. Well, there's lucky, then there's whatever that is. All right, cool. You're at 9 in hand, buddy. Humility's gone. They have a counter spell. If they play a man land, we can scoop it up. It's not a man land. STP will do it. Reason being, they can just trade the Fairy Conclave off, and I'm out of aggression completely. So we're 1 and 2. The games have felt pretty good. Mildly tilted on that last land still matchup. That was a lot of AKs to see in the top like 20 some cards of your deck, but we're going into round 4. All right, opponent is Grievous, and we are on the play. Let's see what we got to work with. No lands. We do have a Reanimate, but we are on the play, so going to discard is really hard. We're going to mulligan this. We have Unmask, Reanimate, nothing to target. I think we need something better. I think this hand doesn't do the thing. We're going to 5. This hand has Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy, myself, naming Akroma, Reanimate Akroma, pitch 2 Buried Alives. Yeah, we keep. Yeah, if Grievous is on Goblins today, this hand beats Goblins kind of quickly. Like, it's pretty good. Yeah, Dark Rit, Cabal Therapy, Akroma, cast Life Death. I like it. Keep 1, 2. All right, Swamp, tap, Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy, me, Akroma, Angel of Wrath. Hope they don't have swords. Death. Reanimate the Akroma, and we don't yield through turn. We can attack with this thing. Turn 1, take 6. Go. All right. They concede. They don't want me to know what they're on, which is completely fair. What direction do we want to go? I think we're always bringing in Null Rods. They're just too load bearing since we don't have a pivot plan to Oath. I don't know what our opponent's on. And I think because of that, I'm actually going to take the Duresses out. And I'm just going to bring in like, what if they're on Goblins? What if they're on Dreadnought? What if they're on, I'm going to bring in some Snuff Outs. Submit. That looked like a legacy game. Kind of could have been. They're on something without Plow or a large number of chains at hazard. I agree. I mean, if that's the case, then maybe do we want to bring out Multanis for Phantom Nishobas? It's too late for that now. But it's a good point. Sorry, if I'm on my phone a little bit, we're negotiating the price on a house right now. This hand has turn 1 Cabal Therapy myself, naming a thing. Turn 2 Exhume it. We need to draw land or a Dark Ritual. That's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 hits. Reanimate also works. That's 18, 19, 20, 21 out of 53. So we were in a little bit better. No, 21 out of 53. Yeah, we're in quite a bit better than 1 out of 3 odds for the first draw to do it. And then the second draw is similar odds. I think we take this chance. All right, it's an island. Good to know. Yield to the turn. All right, there's our swamp. This one's interesting. We could go to discard. I think that's not right, though. Let's just therapy ourselves. I think we might actually want Verdant Force here. I think it's close, but the Verdant Force gives us the flashback on therapy if it resolves. Verdant Force. Go. They do nothing and pass. Do we play around days? I don't think so. Then we run the chance of them top decking a land. All right. Show me your Chain of Favor. Go. Okay, they didn't have it. This Verdant Force is going to get us some amount of value. 7, 8 on my turn, 9, 10 on theirs, 11 on mine, 12 on theirs. We can trade with the Dreadnought if that's what they're on. However, they're passing. Do we discard? They're going to pitch a Root Walla. Okay, this is not what I thought they were on. This is fine, though. All right. Do your thing, Verdant Force. Reanimate, huh? Combat. Send it. Madness was also not on my bingo card. All right, take out a Root Walla. Makes sense to me. All right. Land, Cabal Therapy, you. Sacking the Sapperling. Foil. Nothing of consequence. Okay. Reanimate my Verdant Force. Go. All right. This is not a board state they can overcome, unfortunately. Game 1, I bottomed to Gilded Drake. Oh no, Grievous. That's no good. That would have been so good. Kept a 1-lander, hoping Bouncer would be good. No lands, though. Happens. Good games, buddy. Good games. All right. Yeah, they were trying to exploit the Reanimator plan with a Bouncer, which, in fairness, would have been quite good. Because I definitely would have gotten punished because I went for Verdant Force over Multani to maximize on the Cabal Therapy in my opener. My friend just put out a Reanimator video. Good shit. I'm about to too. Awesome. I will check it out. Baki Piles. I'll check that out. Thank you, Grievous, and good games. All right, we're 2-2. Let's try to get the 3-2. All righty. The mythical round 5, and we've been blessed with the winning die roll, so we're on the play. All right, this hand contains all of the pieces of a turn 1 fatty. We're missing the fatty. And I don't like our odds on just naturally drawing a fatty. No Buried Alive. This is a mulligan. This hand has the Dark Rit, the fatties, the Exhume. No way to get them into the bin. So we need to find. Let's consult our deck list. There are a few ways to do it. 4 Cabal Therapies, 4 Putrid Imps for 8, 4 Unmasks for 12, 4 Buried Alives for 16. 16 pieces. We're waiting on one of them. If we find it, the game's over. If we go to 5, there's a chance we find something unplayable and then we're really sketching. I think we're going to keep this. I think we're actually going to pitch a fatty. It'll be the Verdant. Well, I think because we don't already have Cabal Therapy, it'll be the Symbiotic Wurm. Let's dance. Land go. If you're hearing sounds from outside, I have no clue what they're doing, but it's noisy. All right, Mox Diamond Wasteland goes away. +1 for being mono black. 1-2 for a Werebear for sure. Draw a good one? Not quite. Waiting Room. Pass. Plains. So Buried Alive, we want Multanis. Here comes a Mongoose. This looks like a Threshold deck. Potentially a version of Terrageddon, but Threshold's just a subsect of Terrageddon, basically. Another Werebear. The second they get to Threshold, this is going to be seriously concerning. Also, I have reason to believe our opponent's hand contains the card Swords to Plowshares. Another Verdant Force. We're going to move towards discarding it. I'm not even going to play the land here. We don't have an avenue. We're going to start building towards an avenue. There's even a chance to do it earlier. We weren't supposed to play the second land, but I like having the second land in play. That way, if, I guess with the Dark Ritual, it's not as defensible, but like that way we can draw, Cabal Therapy and Therapy ourselves with land number 3. All right, they attack for 3 here. I'll take it. I'd take a Buried Alive here in a fucking second. On tap, draw. Cabal Therapy me. I can go for the hell of a line. All right. What if I go Dark Rit, Cabal Therapy myself, targeting Verdant Force? Exhume Verdant Force. Exhume Verdant Force. Therapy them, naming Swords to Plowshares. Reanimate Verdant Force. We don't even need to Dark Rit to do it. But if we Dark Rit and they have Armageddon, we can save a Swamp. But what does one Swamp do? Let's just play everything from our hand. You know what? No, Multani. That's we need to think about Multani equity because they have 2 in hand. And if I just empty my hand completely, Multani might not even affect the board if I draw it. Or if I find a way to get it into the bin. If I Dark Rit, I go up to 4 mana. No, I need 5 mana to do this turn. No, we have to do it all. Land, tap, Cabal Therapy, myself. Verdant Force. All right, tap, Dark Ritual. Let's cast Exhume. Grab a Verdant Force back. Flashback Cabal Therapy, targeting my opponent, sacking the Verdant Force. Swords to Plowshares. We hit, there's a Cataclysm and a Swords, but Cataclysm does not put them ahead here. Cast Death, get my Verdant Force back, pass the turn. And they have a Cataclysm in hand, which doesn't really matter. Now they could always top deck Swords, but like that's kind of the Reanimator lifestyle, right? Reanimator losing the STP, name a more iconic duo. True, true, true. All right, your attacks are bad. And I'm full sending because your maximum block power is 5. Yeah, I'll make a dude. We see an Unmask. All right, combat. Send in the force. Damage. They take 7. Go to 13. Pass the turn. All right, no STP yet. I got dudes. This is like this is an anxious game. My opponent's kind of in the STP waiting room. And I'm in the Cataclysm waiting room as well. Because like, even if, say if I draw an Exhume or Reanimate, whatever, that Cataclysm immediately reduces the board state back down. But the Cataclysm also chokes up their resource availability by a lot. Sure, they have a thresholded dude, so they'll have probably a 4/4 werebear, but I don't think that's going to be good enough. Hey, Adrian, my name is Kurt Schultz. We're trying to grow a pre-modern community in Alabama, and I'm working with a local store and hosting a 1K in June. Would you possibly be willing to share? Let's allow this message. Yeah, so find me on Twitch, not Twitch, find me on Discord or Twitter, DM me. The better place is Discord, and get me that info. I'd love to share it for you. All right, we see a brushland. Kind of going out of your way to make your Cataclysm worse though, right? Although maybe Cataclysm not looking super duper tantalizing right this moment. Tap for 3. Terravor. A little 1/1 action. 4, 5, 6. Exalted Angel. Note we're Cataclysming. Okay, no response. They're keeping the Mongoose, a land, and a Mox Diamond for sure. They must have a Terravor. I'll keep Verdant Force plus Swamp. There's the Vor. It's not big enough to contend with my Verdant Force. We will go to 6, so attacking is off the table for a little bit. Very, very nice little tight play from opponent. Love to see that. Getting in makes a ton of sense here because you're not dead to lethal. But Mongoose doesn't have Trample, so they're going to have a scaling issue moving forward. Now, Swords to Plowshare still digs them all the way out of the situation. Putrid Imp looks good to me. And then we will not be fighting. I will just be passing and going wide. They are out of resources. Swords to Plowshares remains an insane top deck that I probably can't beat. Got another dude. 1, 2, Sylvan Library makes sense. But it's just going to be picking the best card off the top. The second they take too much damage, they're kind of cooked. All right, we go to my turn. Make another Sapperling token. And what do we draw? What do we draw? A Swamp. All right, let's use the Putrid Imp to pitch the Unmask. I want a 2-power attacker. Let's go to combat. Let's get in for 2 in the air. Does bringing them to 9 do anything? I don't think so. We'll just hit him for 2 in the air. You go to 10. I'm going to sandbag the Swamp, playing around Armageddon a little bit better, I think. That because their Terravor getting bigger is also a serious problem for us. Make a dude. They're going to get 3 looks for a Swords here. That's going to be a big detriment to my bottom line for sure. Although it opens up Exhume as a top deck because I can make another Verdant Force and then they're back in the same spot. All right, they take some pain. They're at 6. Windswept Heath. Well, if it's a Sword, then like I go to a high enough life total. Can I race now? This is interesting. All right, they're attacking with the Terravor. I think they have Swords to Plowshares, but if they do, I live. So what I'm going to do for blocks here is I'm going to take the Verdant Force and put it in front of the Terravor. Now, what are the other things that blow me out? Cards that maybe we're not even thinking about right now. Reprisal kills me here. We can play around that by putting 2 Sapperling tokens up in front of it. So if I put 2 Sapperling tokens in front of the Terravor with this Verdant Force, then Reprisal doesn't do it. They could be going for another Cataclysm, but then they're dead to the Putrid Imp. Am I playing around Reprisal here? Could they have another Terravor that they're trying to leverage? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this block like this. It's a weird card to play around, but if they have Reprisal in their hand, that kills the Verdant Force, Terravor tramples for lethal. Now, if they have the Reprisal, they kill the Verdant Force. It kills 2 Sapperling tokens. And then I go to 1. But if I go to 1, I can't beat them. If I don't block with these 2 creatures, then we can send in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power. They can only block 1. I guess they could factory block, or they could... I think they have another Terravor, I think is what they're angling for here. If that's the case, this Terravor simply has to die, right? Yeah, because if I underblock, say I block with 4 Sapperling... Say I block with 2 Sapperling tokens to live at 1. Their Terravor lives. They play another Terravor. We're stone cold. I think this is the only good block. Take a trade, play another Terravor. I think they have another Terravor. That's the only way that play makes sense. All right, there he is. Take a draw. It's another Swamp. Let's fly this Putrid Imp. Combat, send it in. And now for blockers. If they get a fetch land or something, I think we're cooked. But when if they send in with both of these, which I think they're forced to, I have to go 3 Sapperlings on Terravor. That blocks 3 of 8, which is 5 damage coming through, and I go to 1. I have to block a Nimble Mongoose. So we have to shake out some way to deal an extra point of damage. If they remember to attack with Factory, we're dead regardless. but we're just going to pass and make him see it. Damn, Heffy's playing tight. This is a super enjoyable game. All right, they've got one card. All right, factory. All I need to see is them all turn sideways and we're done here. That second factory doesn't matter. Alrighty, they see it. For anyone wondering what the combat damage is, I have to block this. I have to block this. This has trample. So when I go block, we're going to take 6 trample from the Terravor and wind up dead. Very, very tight game. If I had reanimated 1 turn earlier, that wouldn't have been a winnable game for Heffy. I didn't do that. Null Rod not only turns off Mox Diamonds, but all their graveyard hate. So I think that's meaningful. There are Swords to Plowshares deck, meaning I think Multani should be good. I think Snuff Out's probably good too. Terravor is terrifying. Maybe Visara? What's bad? That's a big question. What is not good in this matchup? I think Verdant Force getting hosed by Cataclysm. It's kind of weird because Verdant Force gets hosed by Cataclysm, but also it rebuilds from Cataclysm really quickly, right? So that's kind of funky. I think Life Death is, I think I'm pretty comfortable trimming like 2 Life Death most of the time. Same with 2 Buried Lives. They're pretty expensive. They seem like very game 1, gear 1 cards. We're bringing in a Viscera. What's my worst creature? I think it's actually Symbiotic Wurm. Making a bunch of 1/1s can be good though, but against Cataclysm, it's like a little bit shaky. So what if we take one of these out? Is Multani good? Does Multani ever outscale Terravor versus a deck that dumps their hand? I don't think so. Same deal with Verdant Force, I think, but I don't want to lose too many attempts at the reanimation. They can also chump block Multani for a long time. Maybe cut Multani, bring in a couple Snuff Outs, something like this. All right, submit the deck. All right, I would like to play first. This hand does nothing, so a mulligan. This one has all the pieces of a great Reanimator opening, minus the fatty. So I think it's a ship. Down to 5. Another 0-lander, but one that if I draw a single mana source, the game ends. Can I do better on 4? Let's see, if I keep this 5, I'm just keeping Putrid Imp, Dark Ritual, Verdant Force, Viscera, Reanimate, but I'm on the play. So like the first miss of a land, no, this is bad. We have to mulligan. Down to 4. All right, this hand contains land, Putrid Imp, Exhume, Null Rod, Fatty. Okay, so this hand really wants us to keep the Null Rod so we can stop our opponent from stopping us from doing our thing. However, deploying the Null Rod is going to take both of these lands, and that's 3 of the 4 cards we get to keep. I feel that it's better. We got to keep the Imp. We got to keep the Akroma and the Exhume. So this hand simply has too many cards we need to keep. So which risk are we willing to take? We have more lands than fatties. We've also got Reanimates. We have to keep this. We got to lose the Null Rod. We got to lose the Cabal Therapy. We got to lose a Swamp. Let's do it. Swamp, tap it, Putrid Imp, go. All right, here comes a Diamond. Down to 5 in hand. Richard Import, Tormod's Crypt, not great. Their hand's perfect. Our only current angle is Putrid Imp. Tap down my Swamp, can't stop you. Null Rod, okay. That is, of the cards that we wanted to draw, that was one of them. Beat you down and pass. We have to get lucky and draw like land into Dark Rit, but there's a line here. There's a Plains. We get a fatty coming down. Mongoose. Call the herd. I like it. Smart. All right. They can't. This would be the time to draw Swamp. All right. Swamp. Tap 2. Null Rod. Are you going to the weekly this evening? I'm not. We're going to a second showing of a house that we're about to put an offer on. We just need to check a couple of things. Do I want to get in 6 times 2 is 12. So 18. If I get an attack in here, we hit a break point. So I can pitch Akroma to my Putrid Imp right now and get in. Activate, pitch Akroma, yield through turn. Now we're not out of the woods because casting Exhume is not free anymore, but they're locked out of green. Do houses there have underground heating oil tanks? I don't think so. No, I do not believe so. All right, so they can't use the diamond. The house we're looking at, I'm not sure exactly what the specs are on it. I just know that HVAC and the furnace was all replaced within the last 5 years, which is a big deal. Obviously, I've got a inspector we're paying to go in, and I have a guy that you guys might know, Mr. Max. His dad, Max has some experience with house inspection. So I've got a biased party and a non-biased party going in to inspect. So everything's going to be hunky-dory. The one thing we don't like about this house is it has a sub pump. It's pretty common in Michigan. You can avoid it, but that is the situation. So that's something we have to actively keep in mind, especially since the studio is going to be in the basement. The family we're buying for also runs kind of a cool business out of their basement. So that was the thing I noticed when I saw the house. I'm like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I would port me. Do we get lucky? Dark Rit, land, reanimate. Another Exhume. Not quite, but we get in. We get to attack. Beep, pass turn. We're losing the race, but we've got time. This Null Rod was huge. I got a sump pump, and luckily in the 13 years I've owned my house, I never had it turn on. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You want to maintenance it and replace as needed, probably biannually. That way you'll never need it. The second it's not in working condition that's the year you're going to need it. Tap a swamp. I can't stop you. Exhume's a sorcery. Find a draw. All right. 1, 2. Exhume. All right. Combat. Full send it. Beep, beep. You go to 10. Let's see if they deal with this Akroma. I'm on a 7-turn clock and they're in a 10-turn clock. So swords is still super good here, but it puts us in a position where our top decks can enable races. And I think that's exactly where we want to be. But them having swords to plowshares here wouldn't even be that lucky. They're 10 cards deep. There's 4 in their deck. They're about to draw 11 cards deep. It's pretty regular for swords to be included in that set of cards. Now, if I attack with this Akroma a second time, then the Putrid Imp only needs to deal 3 more points of damage after that, and I can fly it every turn. So that races an elephant pretty easy. I'm going to be honest. After playing through this league, the Rudeslay Reanimator list feels much better than previous versions I played. Now, this isn't the best result I've ever had with Rudeslay's Reanimator list, for sure, but this version of it feels strong. We didn't see a swords here, but there's no reason for them to do it on their main phase. Port makes sense here. I love that they can't wasteland us. That feels amazing. Another Akroma. All right, let's go to combat. Let's send in both the idiots. Let's pitch Akroma to the Putrid Imp. You got a swords? You do not. Okay, you're at 3. Man, this game felt unwinnable just 2-3 turns ago. You're up. Tormod script, sure. Null Rod's good, huh? Pretty strong card to have. Blindsided by Null Rod. Yeah, sorry, that's a good one, Heavy. All right. We were the underdog. We went to 4, but we got that game. They did not have disenchants more than likely. Now I expect that they'll be siding in disenchants, but now they're looking for multiple things to answer what we're trying to get up to, which is a good spot to be. I think our sideboard plan was good. I think I'm going to trust this sideboard plan and resubmit. I still like the Snuff Outs. It feels like sometimes you're just going to need that out to an Exalted Angel, to a Terravore, to whatever. Submit. Fighting hard for the 3-2. Akroma is weak to the most popular card in the format. Boy, do they need to have it on time. Yeah, because Akroma, if they're tapped out, it's 6 damage. And if they miss for 1 turn, you're in the zone where Putrid Imp can win the game on its own. So like, even though Akroma is weak to the best card in the format, that card is like stretched pretty thin when you're playing this deck, right? Like maybe Multani is a touch better on the draw. I don't know. All right, this opener contains no lands. We can't get mad at these either. There are 14 lands in our deck. We have built our deck in a way that's asking us to take advantage of the London mulligan. It's a shame though, because we don't even have a reanimate spell. So no, this is a fine mulligan. All right, here we have Putrid Imp, Reanimate, Akroma, Visara's castable, Buried Alive's the pitch. We keep. We got to draw a Null Rod or something because we are going to have a Tormod script problem. They showed us they have multiples. There's a Mongoose. Play the crypt now because I can have Dark Ritual. Like if I draw Dark Ritual, I get to just do it, right? Yeah, there's the crypt. Take a draw. It's an Unmask. Play the land, tap it, play the Putrid Imp, chill. Without access to Null Rod, if we top deck Null Rod, it's obviously so lucky. But without access to it, our best top deck's Exhume. We want to force them to crack that Tormod script, right? We're also not going to lose our discard enabler. We're just going to take this one. We should import? Sure. All right, they've got a really slow start, which is ideal for us. You have tapped my swamp. Another Putrid Imp. We have a line. Go to combat. Attack you for 1. Damage. The race is on. You're up. I actually may just try to trade this Putrid Imp for a Nimble Mongoose, if I'm being honest. Attackers. Yeah, I think I take this trade. Declare blocks. Try to trade with your Mongoose. Plains. End step. My turn. On tap. They're going to port me using Forest, I'm sure. Yep. I can't do anything about that. It's tapped. Dark Ritual brings us kind of close to being able to hardcast Visara. 2 more land drops or 1 more Dark Ritual will do it. Do I make him crack Crypt now? I don't think we need to. I don't think it's time yet. We're just going to combat. We're going to chip in there for 1 and we're going to pass. Wasteland. Yep. So we're on 2 lands. If we were playing the normal Reanimator deck, this would be miserable. Yeah, you've got to call the herd. All right, Exhume is like the hottest top deck of all time here. Another Dark Rit. Okay. Unmask you, give up on the Reanimate, try to play this game off the back of Visara? Yeah. Unmask you, exile the Reanimate. Don't show me 2 swords to plowshares, bro. This Putrid Imp is... Do I just feed it the Akroma? No, we can save it for later. It's gonzo, bro. All right, what's in your hand? Just a plains. All right, Dark Rit, Visara, go. I think Visara is just racing unless they draw another STP. Cataclysm won't do it. Tough. Lucky beats good every time, guys. You love Atlas Genius. Man, we like a lot of the same music, huh? Lucky beats good, but we got lucky last game to draw that Null Rod the way that we did, so really no sense in getting too salty about it. Exhume. Do I want to try to Exhume a Putrid Imp? Let's do that. Exhume. All right, we've got an Imp. We pass. Another port. We are not going to have mana to function with. We'll give it 1 more draw, but I think we are tapped out here. Ooh, buddy, if our opponent missed on that STP there, I think it was lights out. I think we would have pulled it together. Yep, Tap this. What's going on, Ivan? How you doing, buddy? Tap this. Yep, show me the top card. Snuff Out. Okay, combat. Attack for 1. Pass. The Snuff Out beats an elephant, so if they draw dead for long enough, maybe. Attackers. All right, let's snuff out an elephant. Yep, we've got videos with the Dragon Reanimator deck up on the channel. They were paper videos. And then we can just yield through the turn. First league of the day, yep. We take a draw. Well, they're going to double port us. Double tap. All right, we are clocked out. All right, 2-3 league. I definitely want to discuss this deck. Even though the record was 2-3, this deck felt super competent. Like, it feels like the other Reanimator decks I've tried, it feels like when you get gassed out, you are gassed out. It feels like you get gassed out super early, and it feels like the Oath Pivot sideboard plan is almost never as effective as you want it to be. There were multiple games where if I had the traditional Reanimator mana base of mono wastelandable targets as lands, we would have not been able to play the long game that we were eventually able to win that game in. So we would have had probably an even worse record. Now, careful study is a meaningful loss. I won't pretend that it's not. But with a more consistent mana base, I think the Unmasks and the Buried Alives with the Cabal Therapies and the Putrid Imps give us enough ways to dump a fatty to reanimate. This deck felt very clean, very tight. I think Brood Slay is like the king of pre-modern Reanimator. This list feels super well thought out. Sideboarding felt like a little tricky at times, but intuitive. I can't say I'd make any changes in this deck. That said, I'm not your Reanimator guy. Like, I dabble in Reanimator because I think it's a fun deck to make content around. I am by no means a specialist in the deck, so it's not my go-to. But this, I can put my seal of approval, my little approval stamp on this, mushroom stamp, that I think this deck is very strong. And if you're interested in Reanimator, maybe sleeve this up. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I'll see you next time.